The moon hung low over the quiet suburban neighborhood, its pale light spilling across the manicured lawns and casting long shadows on the asphalt. It was a night like any other in Meadowbrook, a place where the humdrum rhythm of life rarely skipped a beat. But that night, something was amiss, a quiet unease settling over the rows of identical houses, like a predator lurking in the tall grass. The Turner household, at the end of Elmwood Street, stood dark and silent, save for a single flickering porch light. Inside, the air was thick with a tension no one yet understood. Emily Turner was gone. Emily, the bright-eyed 17-year-old with a laugh that could light up a room, had vanished without a trace. She had been last seen walking home from her friend Claire's house just 2 streets over. It was a familiar path, one she had taken countless times. But somewhere between Claire's door and her own, Emily had disappeared into the night. Her mother, Diane, had first noticed something was wrong when she found Emily's bed untouched that morning. At first, she thought Emily might have stayed the night at Claire's. But Claire's confused response to Diane's frantic call confirmed her worst fears: Emily never made it home. By noon, the police had been called, and Meadowbrook's tranquil bubble was pierced by the wail of sirens. Now, I don't know about you, but in a place like Meadowbrook, things like this just didn't happen. It was a neighborhood of backyard barbecues, PTA meetings, and block parties. The kind of place where everyone knew everyone, or thought they did. So when word got out that Emily Turner was missing, the whole community stirred like a hive disturbed. Whispers floated over fences, and curtains twitched as neighbors peered out, their eyes scanning the streets for any sign of the missing girl. Detective Harris was assigned to the case, a man whose gruff demeanor and sharp eyes made him the perfect candidate to untangle this suburban mystery. He'd seen his fair share of runaways, abductions, and troubled teens, but something about Emily's case didn't sit right with him. The Turners weren't a family in turmoil. Emily wasn't a girl with secrets, at least not any that anyone knew of. She was well-liked, responsible, and happy, or so it seemed. As the investigation unfolded, strange details began to emerge. Claire recalled that Emily had seemed distracted the night she disappeared. She kept looking over her shoulder, Claire said, her voice trembling. Like she thought someone was following her. Harris's team scoured the route Emily would have taken home. They found nothing out of the ordinary, no dropped phone, no torn piece of clothing, no sign of a struggle. It was as if she had simply stepped off the sidewalk and vanished into thin air. But then came the first clue, a single silver bracelet, nestled in the grass beside the path. Diane confirmed it belonged to Emily, but it offered no answers, only more questions. The search expanded. Volunteers combed the woods at the edge of the neighborhood, their flashlights cutting through the darkness. Drones buzzed overhead, and bloodhounds sniffed the ground, but Emily remained elusive. Meanwhile, Harris dug deeper into her life, looking for anything that might hint at what had happened that night. He interviewed friends, teachers, and neighbors, piecing together a portrait of a girl whose life seemed almost too perfect. And then, the first crack appeared in that perfect image. A neighbor, old Mrs. Callahan, mentioned seeing a black car idling near the Turner house the evening Emily disappeared. Didn't think much of it at the time, she said, her voice raspy with age. But now that I think about it, it was just sitting there. Engine running. Lights off. The description of the car was vague, but it was enough to give Harris a lead. Surveillance footage from nearby traffic cameras revealed a black sedan leaving the neighborhood around the time Emily vanished. The plates were untraceable, likely fake, but the footage showed something chilling. In the back seat of the car, there was a figure. It was too blurry to identify, but Harris couldn't shake the feeling that it was Emily. As the days turned into weeks, Meadowbrook's sense of safety unraveled. Parents tightened their grips on their children, curfews were enforced, and the once welcoming streets became a place of suspicion. The Turners, consumed by grief, retreated from the public eye. Diane's tearful pleas for Emily's safe return played on repeat on the evening news, but the tips that trickled in led nowhere. And then, just as hope began to wane, a breakthrough came from the most unexpected place. A delivery driver, passing through a neighboring town late one night, spotted something unusual, a girl matching Emily's description standing in the window of an abandoned house. She appeared pale and frightened, her silhouette fleeting as the driver's headlights illuminated the decrepit building. The driver reported the sighting, and Harris's team moved in swiftly. The house was a crumbling relic, forgotten by time and hidden behind a wall of overgrown trees. It was the kind of place kids dared each other to approach on Halloween, its broken windows and sagging roof the stuff of local legends. But as the officers approached, flashlights cutting through the dark, the legends became all too real. Inside, they found signs of someone's presence, a cot, empty food wrappers, and scrawled notes that spoke of fear and desperation. And then they found Emily. She was in the basement, bound but alive. Her wide eyes filled with tears as the officers freed her, her voice hoarse as she whispered, "I knew you'd come." The relief was palpable, a wave of emotion washing over everyone as Emily was brought to safety. But the mystery was far from over. Emily's captor was gone, leaving behind only a few cryptic clues, a strange symbol painted on the wall and a single word etched into the wood of the basement stairs, "Soon." Harris knew this wasn't the end. Whoever had taken Emily had planned it meticulously, and their escape was no accident. But for now, Emily was safe, and that was what mattered most. In the days that followed, Emily's story began to emerge. She spoke of being followed, of the black car that appeared outside her house more than once. She had tried to tell herself it was nothing, a coincidence. But on the night she disappeared, the car had followed her home. As she turned onto her street, a man had stepped out and grabbed her before she could scream. She was blindfolded, driven to the abandoned house, and left there with vague threats and little explanation. Her captor had come and gone, feeding her and muttering strange things about choices and consequences. The case remained open, the hunt for the captor ongoing. But for Meadowbrook, life slowly began to return to normal. Emily's resilience became a source of inspiration, her survival a beacon of hope. Yet, the shadow of her ordeal lingered, a reminder that even in the safest places, darkness can creep in unnoticed. And as for the man who took her? Well, that's a story still waiting to be told. Some say he's out there, watching, waiting. Others believe he's long gone, a ghost in the wind. But if there's one thing I've learned, it's that stories like this have a way of coming back around. So, keep your eyes open and your doors locked. You never know what might be lurking in the shadows. If you found yourself holding your breath, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Stay safe, stay curious, and remember not every mystery stays unsolved.